All right, so thank you guys. I'm going to increase the volume a little bit if I can find the control. Oh, here it is. So thank you guys for jumping in with us. Session 14. Woo! Win the buyer. And then next week we're going to focus on winning the seller and then winning the buyer here. And again, Heather, Monique, those in the room, feel free to jump in with any Q&A and aha moments. It's all about growth. We're now into the transaction phase of what we're doing. So we've built our mission statement. We've kind of built our defining our values, defining what we get to do. We had to focus on lead generation and continued focus on lead generation. And the biggest LFU of all is the lead follow-up aspect, making sure that we're touching base every single person on there. And please, for those of us, I think Monique, you're at Bold, all of us in the room are at Bold. Keep in mind, lead follow-up is a contact, right? So when you're following up with someone you want to schedule an appointment with, that is a contact towards your 100, or a two-way text dialogue towards your 100. Okay, so don't think lead, contact is brand new contacts. We're not converting brand new contacts to an appointment. We're converting lead follow-up relationships to an appointment, right? And that's one of the biggest misnomers that people take away from Bold is, oh, if I just meet 100 new people a day, I'm going to make whatever in number of sales. And the answer is, you're right, you will. You'll get so much more out of it if you also include lead follow-up in that, right? So if you're already doing the contacts anyway, and you can make a focus on 25 of them being lead follow-up or 50 of them being lead follow-up, you're going to crush the game. Or at a minimum, you'll be able to assess who's who in the database.
I would say that's lead follow-up is more important than the first call, because you're not likely to make a sale on your very first call.
That's true.
And
It's gonna take a few before they're gonna finally say yes.
You just sound exactly like my coach. Coach Rose said exactly the same thing months back, and my hard head finally flipped it in my calendar, where my hour of power wasn't the first calls. It was the first and 10, lead follow-up. And then it was like call through the database. Because what was the focus? Lead follow-up became, hey, they're anticipating my call. We've had a conversation. And if I have someone who says, hey, Phil, I'm ready to meet, oh, cool, I got a W for the day. Now, when the rest of my day falls apart before 12 o'clock, I got this one appointment or 2 appointments scheduled, high five, oh no, I'm not hitting my 100. Okay, I can make it up for 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Max is doing his thing, I can make my calls, right? I can create something from a block of 40 minutes. So if anyone takes anything from today, take that. Have your top 10, top 5 of the day, hit that lead follow up for sure. And as you guys get into transactions, Monique, Heather, anyone watching the recording on this, God willing, don't let the deals overlap your day. Give it 30 minutes of clearing through your emails, reply, loop in whoever you need to loop in. And then 30 minutes, maybe 20, 30 minutes of your first and 10, that half hour dedicated, maybe calling a buyer. Hey, this is what we got back. Those pressing calls that were so pressing the day before, don't take them at night. Just roll them into the next morning, right? Just text them, hey, I'm really tied up right now. And you don't have to say you're with your kids or whatever. Hey, I'm really tied up right now. Worst case, I might have to either reach you super late at night, or if you're totally cool, I'll call you first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning is 7:30, 8:30, right after forward mindset, all that stuff. And then you can kind of get those things out of the way, roll into your lead follow-up, your first intent, your lead follow-up, and then into training or into your next wave of calls. And we'll hit on that more in a little while. So lead generation, lead follow-up, transaction time. We're going to work with A buyers, and Cindy, what an opportunity that you're here. Getting the appointment, preparing for the buyer consultation, conducting the buyer consultation, getting the signed buyer agreement, recaps and ahas, and then we're going to follow through our daily success system. Quote of the day: the right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Just ask for it. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, when you had somebody who had like a celebrity client.
Oh, Raul
just asked-
Kanyata.
Oh, yeah.
And he got it.
Yeah.
Kardashian. It was Kim Kardashian.
Now it's recorded forever, but yeah. But no, in all seriousness, exactly. Someone in his sphere, someone he's worked with closely for a number of years, I imagine, and a lot of trust, a lot of unity in that. And all of a sudden, all you had to do was ask. And I don't know if you guys heard what Stephanie said, you know, that person or family normally goes with Tomer from agency or company or something like that. Yeah, but he's like the celebrity whisperer in that regard, right? And him, brand new license, I think at that point he was licensed for like a month or whatever, said, hey, how about working with me? Just ask for it. Got the appointment, obviously, and whatever connections they had to go through to do that. So that was incredible, right? And we had lunch with a top producer panel earlier in the week from the office, and I was sitting next to, of all people, Rob Friedman, and I asked him, you know, and I remember him sharing here, and his big thing was, or one of the big things I got from him was that you don't start over in real estate. If all you're doing really is taking what worked for you in your previous career, in his case, sports agency, representing clients, representing athletes and their marketing exposure, and then brought those skills and relationships into real estate, right? And so my whole thing with him was asking him, well, awesome, what else do you do? He says, I just double down on that. Those are my relationships. I build around that. Now I work with those same guys and gals in investment real estate, flipping houses, partnering with them. I'm like, oh, well, very cool.
Just like me with my former banking contacts, I would not be sitting here today if I didn't have them to build my structure, and they keep fighting.
Yep. All we do is just have to ask for it, right? And we're gonna hit on that more about the first and 10 and net plus one and all that fun stuff. Let's see here. I just got it in there. A buyers. Now we're gonna see this funnel a whole time. And the A buyers will really come from this type of conversion. This is why 100 contacts isn't necessarily just the first time you meet somebody. That interaction may be around here when you're doing the follow-up aspect. And then eventually when they do business, you're gonna make contacts with them again because they're gonna go right back into the feedback loop as a past client, as a recurring client. The referrals that you generate from them. Because think about it, the past client can generate 10, 20, 30 referrals, right? We consider our core group, breaking into the core, would be 2 referrals a year, right? And that was early on when we were just kind of giving it like some kind of space. Then when we realized like, oh wow, this is really taking life of its own, we started increasing it to like level of conversation, you know, where's the relationship at? Is it, are we friends on Facebook? Are we like, you know, so the core started becoming more defined. But early on, it was like, man, if we just got 2 referrals a person, man, they would be like a winner for us, right? I mean, when you think about what a lead costs us with Opcity, 35%, that's a good chunk of change. You know? So, you know, there's different ways for us to grow that. Buyer service cycle. 1 starts with leads to appointments. 2, prepare for the buyer consultation. You know, this is not exactly perfect. It's like a constant turn of the wheel here.
I'm gonna sit here.
Oh yeah, sure.
And you back.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. Buyer consultation, find a home, offer, negotiate contract to close, post-close systems, right? So if you wanted to kind of collapse the time frame in your head about like, what does that process look like? It would look like this. And if you really wanted to kind of be a nerd about it, I think number 1 would fit into your AM time. Number 2 would fit around your noon time. 3, 4, 5, and 6 could fit into your mid-afternoon to 5 o'clock time, if you have a cutoff time, right? So this and then your post-close system could roll into the next day or just end your day. So depending on who you're working with that day, this could even fit into a time block schedule, right? You know, you always hear us say, have a border, have a cutoff time. So if your cutoff time is 6, well, just know that 1 through 7, you can fit into a certain time block in your day where you still eat, you still pick up your kids, and you still have, cool, hey, all the next stuff you roll into the next day. And truth be told, all real estate emergencies are just really, you're hearing from Coach David Jones a bunch, it's just poor real estate planning. You know, there are no emergencies, just poor planning, right? You know, oh man, my clients are calling me for an update. Well, bonehead, Philip, if you didn't call them earlier to update them, you would be concerned too, right? You hadn't heard from your agent in 5 days, you know? So, you know, make sure you plan ahead to get those updates out early, text message, email, whatever the top preferred item is or what you decide to be your system.
Have you heard of Greg Luther?
I have not.
Oh, he teaches online.
Mhm.
And he says that you tell them up front, like if you do get a listing or whatever, a buyer, you tell them up front that every Tuesday, you're gonna call them with an update.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so they know that they're gonna be called every Tuesday.
That's such a great point. It's basically just set the expectations up front, and we're gonna hit that because part of the buyer consultation is setting those expectations up front. And right now the time change, sunset's like what, 8:30 or whatever.
People are still-
Right, so I'll typically say like, hey, a lot of the homes we may be scheduling are gonna be owner occupied. And just like yourself, you wouldn't want someone disturbing your dinner. Now, if it's vacant, we can make an argument to work around it. And I'll even call it, hey, Jessica, sorry, I saw you earlier, I was on the phone, all that fun stuff, good to see you. But I'll always blame the sellers and just say, hey, we'll do our best to get you in that evening. Like even now, if you notice, we're not calling you guys, even though a home is vacant, we're not calling you guys or Rick, you show up a house at 7 o'clock in the evening. Like, no, we're gonna just roll it over into the next day or weekend or whatever. So even though we have the team support, we're not gonna ask somebody to do something we wouldn't do, right? And even if it were like, oh my God, Philip, this is like the only time they can see it, then I might just go myself and do it. I'm not gonna like pass the buck, right? But in this situation, you can actually schedule it and say, hey, work around those best practices. To Heather, you're raising a family too. Just know when you want to have the cutoff. Monique, you have 7 children, I believe. You want to have that cutoff too, right? You want to just keep building those walls around your schedule. Even when the market changes, don't worry about losing people. They'll follow your expectations and your standards, right? And any ahas on that, because I just got an aha from you on that, but any ahas online or here in the room about that topic?
It's very true and I have to implement it.
Awesome. I've shown homes at night, even in the dark, and it was like, what the hell are we doing here? She's gonna wanna come back here on the daytime anyway to see what this place looks like. If anything, we just realized, oh, Arleta's not a safe place at night. That was probably the only thing I got from doing that, right? It's like, well, this is A, dangerous, and B, like, she could have driven around the neighborhood and figured out that this place sucks, or that specific neighborhood. I'm not saying Arleta in general sucks, but the neighborhood we were in was like, yeah, we can see why this home's 3 old. Now we look back, it's a big deal. Anything you bought in 2015, 16 would have been a good deal today. Yeah. So we learn from failure, right? And then you guys gain wisdom from learning from other people's failures, my failures. Yes, yeah. Getting the appointment. So keys to converting A buyers: respond right away to lead inquiries. We call that speed to lead. So you guys have experienced it with Opcity, maybe you experienced it with clients or friends who reached out to you. Get valid and complete contact information, save it to command, and create an opportunity. 2, I can't stress enough. Evie, Brittany, just text Josh and say, hey, please add this into command. Here are the tags. Here's the smart plan, or add him to op list. He knows the language, he knows the lingo, because that's all he does, right? Or among many other things that he does. Determine their motivation to buy so you can speak to it. So in addition, so this is kind of a little out of order. It should be like number 2 should be last, but number 3, determine their motivation. So as you're speaking with them and you're putting them into the opportunity list, you can tag them as a 10. So I use cultivate. The cultivate spot, and I'll have 10, 9, 8, 7, and then 6, right? But 10 is like, hey, they are ready to like move. They've got the cash. Let's say they're a cash buyer. They send me a text over the phone with a PDF of their bank account statement. They need to buy because, hey, they don't want to do Airbnb for the next 20 days or whatever. So, hey, they're ready to go, right? We all dream about that client. And then set an appointment time and date for as soon as possible. Now, realistically, I know that someone who isn't buying all cash and hasn't been pre-approved, they need to be pre-approved, right? So this is where you can kind of decide the tale of 2 roads. Like if you feel you need a whole ton of hand-holding, make the consultation and meet them first, have the appointment on Zoom, here at the office, in person, at a coffee shop, whatever it takes, right? If they're a little seasoned and they've been through this dance, and it's a matter of being pre-approved, call Cindy and say, hey, I'm gonna match you with Cindy, I'm gonna start a group text where they're both on it. I referred them directly, vice versa, and stayed out of it, and 3 weeks would go by. because it was like a dance of follow up. Oh, I didn't have her number saved, so I don't answer numbers of calls I don't know. Well, duh. You know, so I just started a group text with them, and then now they're in the hot seat because I can see them replying or not replying to a degree, right? And you kind of go from there. And A buyers will typically sound like, well, this is what C buyer sounds like, and you treat them like A's. Oh, hey, yeah, I mean, I would love to buy a house if there's a right deal. And yeah, I need to like get my tax refund done and get that money in place. And all the while we're thinking, man, someone that wants to buy a house with me, truly though, they're probably 60, 90 days out, right? Like, let's say we're in March and someone says, well, I would like for my kids to be done with school before before we market the home. You can list it, but I just won't do anything until they're fully done with school. Like, well, shoot, that's Memorial Day weekend or the first or second or third week of June, right? So then I know in the back of my head, we're taking a listing, but it's a non-sellable listing for like 3 months, 4 months, right? So there's like those elements that you kind of have to grade what works, what doesn't work.
So you would tell them that you would sign now, but not
Oh, totally,
go
yeah.
live until.
Oh, absolutely, you can have them sign the SELM, seller exclusion from the MLS. And you can put in there a specific time or until a certain date. And when that certain date kicks in, then you can use the 21-day coming soon. And then you can always, end that sooner or put the property on hold, which we've done with properties.
Or potentially look for sell and leaseback situation if somebody's willing to do that.
And that's true too. I mean, my only concern with that is the market changing a little bit and, well, you're right. I mean, if it's such a hot house, you can totally explore that, especially if they need the money right away. In this case, they're gonna be all right. They already have their house in San Luis Obispo.
I mean, the whole point being, we want to get them committed.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. 7 close to appointment tactics, show the benefits, take back close. Oh, I'm gonna hit back on that. Negative, positive close, give them what they're looking for. Trial close, assumptive close, tie downs. So the one I love the most, and these aren't in order, these are like, choose for the best situation. But the take back close would sound something like, oh, in light of your time frame, why don't we instead meet in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? On a buyer situation. Like, I know if I meet with them and give them an hour, I'm gonna have to give them an hour anyway in 4 weeks if the market could potentially be different or whatever it is. But that would be a take back close. Trial close would be something along the lines of, if we were able to find you ABC house and ABC time frame, is that something you would be open to? Yeah, we'd be open to that. Awesome. And a really good one to look up if you guys have ever seen it before, but YouTube Tom Hopkins closing. Actually, these are his closing tactics, but just look up Tom Hopkins closing tactics, and it would actually be these 7. He sounds cheesy as heck because he's wearing a suit, his hair greased back, but he's a super fun salesman, actual salesman. He is the quintessential salesman. And he goes into deeper details with all 7 here. Buyer objections to the appointment. You want to kind of flush these out up front, ask questions, empathize with them, identify the real issue, offer solution, urge an agreement. The market we're heading into with buyer's representation exclusive is going to be very key, in terms of, hey, and you guys have read the contract, or if you haven't, when you read through it, it actually identifies how we're paid through from the MLS perspective. If it's a property being offered through MLS, we'll normally get whatever that commission is, and it'll offset the commission we have written on there. And I put a crazy number, I'll put 6% as like our commission fee, knowing that for them, like, oh wow, well, so that's a lot, and holy cow, how do we reduce that number? Awesome. Well, guess what? We don't have to charge our clients this. We collect what we collect from the MLS, and it's whatever they truly pay. Now, however, if it is something along the lines where our office, our brokers won't accept it, we ask that our clients pay the difference, right? And we'll go through scenarios of for sale by owner, or maybe like a discount commission type thing, and our brokerage requires 2.5, whatever the number is, then we're able to have that conversation with them The times where we did a for sale by owner, we didn't have a BRE before we wrote the offer, we got the BRE from the buyer. And fortunately enough, the seller did pay a 3% commission, so we happily took it. But if they were offering us like $50 or zero, basically zero, we would collect 2.5% from somebody, right? It would be the buyer in that situation, or whatever we would have negotiated. So it doesn't have to be a set number, but know what you're asking for. You guys have always heard be a resourcing consultant, right? Being a resource is offering a solution, but being a consultant really is identifying the real issue, asking questions, empathizing, identifying the real issue. Because selling a house, or let's say going back to the we're working buyers, buying a house isn't really like the issue, right? It might be like rent. Okay, well, tell me about your rent. Well, I'm paying $3,000 a month. Well, that's not too bad. Tell me why does that hurt? Well, it doesn't hurt right now, but I know I was paying $2,000 just 3 years ago. Now it's 30. If I move again, it's gonna be like $4,000 to $5,000. We all know that.
Yeah.
But there's like this awesome thing about self-discovery. Like when you ask the questions, and you've heard me just be quiet when I'm asking for feedback or whatever. When you're asking them, let them stew in it a bit, right? Be okay with them feeling a little bit of pain. And bold is bringing back all this stuff, but bring them back to the present pain or future pain, right? And when they're in that future pain of like, oh my God, yeah, rent could be like $5,000, you know, and I would rather just pay that to a mortgage, right? Or it might be something deeper. We had a client, he's gonna be the first person in his family to own a house. He's 5th generation in America, right? And they've done nothing but rent, you know? So he's gonna be the first ever to like own land, you know, like be the first one. I get chills thinking about it. But he's just like, Philip, this is the world to me. You know, I wish I could be buying it cash like we all do, but just the fact that he can start that cornerstone piece 5 generations in, like there's families only been here for 1 or 2 generations building a mobile empire, you know, it's crazy. But you know, identify the real issue is digging deep on the needs analysis, digging deep on the questions, empathizing with them. And even if you're not that type of personality, still be a detective in what motivates them, what moves them. You don't have to be crying with them at the same time. You know, I'm not that way. Yeah, you again, yeah. I get chills.
I get emotional.
I know, even at Bowl with this video.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Like, pretty don't look over here.
Yeah. I'm Evie and I'm bold.
yes, you are.
Hold on, I gotta collect myself. Oh man, I love bold. Oh man, but yeah, on that note, it's going deep, right? Like the issues will never be interest rate. You know, someone might be price sensitive, but if you get deeper, it's gonna be like, okay, this is what's really going on. And it might be something along the lines of, you know, my mom's giving me money, another client, you met Orjo and Minnie, so their real issue was never like the affordability, it was saving face in front of his mom, right? So the real issue when you dig a little deeper is mom is dropping 125 large and helping them buy a house, and that is exciting.
Yeah.
You know, hey, high five. But in their eyes, they don't see it that way. They're getting a helping hand from mom. Oh, we're in our 30s. Yeah, we're in our 30s. We can't buy a house on our own. Well, shoot, yeah. I mean, the world we live in, nobody's buying a house on their own, unless you keep Kardashian. You know, you drop $6.5 million like nothing. But even then, you know, real quick sidebar. Rob dropped some great news on me. Like his affluent, high-profile clients, they don't buy homes all cash out there. They take their own money, turn it into a note, and then they pay a mortgage on their own money.
Yes, rich and poor dad.
Yeah, exactly. Folks I've read never thought, how does it find real life? Why would I even do that? There's a big reason.
Yes.
Big benefit, big write-off, all this stuff. I took a similar idea to the Zint family, and they were like, "Phil, that's genius," because their dad's willing to at least, you know, interest money on them 1%. $1.7 million, crazy number. Yeah. So they'll do a small down payment, the rest of it out the window. So there you go.
You can throw ideas like that out to people, it's got so much value, I can't even say. Recently had a rescue loan for a doctor who is so deep in, clearly he must have every fancy advisor in the whole world working for him. And his finances are very complex. And I said to him, I said, have you considered, not always putting your wife on the loan app and then starting to buy properties, just one view or the other, so that you can buy more properties that way? He goes, tell me more.
Yeah. Well, that's an awesome one. I mean, that would be like specifically keeping that in your utility bill, and as you call those 10 people in that circle, quick to the draw,
Yeah.
right? That's awesome. And it's like whenever you're in a classroom and you're like, hey, 1031 exchange, I'm sure this is gonna help somebody. And you have the 5 names, you just call them and there you go.
See, for me, Philip, that's an opportunity right there, meaning that's where I have challenge, because I don't know of those things yet, so for me, it's
You
like.
just figure out something that you have a personal interest in or need to know, and you dive deep. You just do a self education in YouTube, podcasts, whatever, read, on the internet, whatever, and just quickly master something. I've done it 1,000 times.
Absolutely.
Like for one thing,
Yeah.
like that, like find one thing that I can help, for example, a client with, and
Yeah.
then like
Or
master
if you've helped one already with a similar, then, start really digging into that particular situation, whatever that was, so that you know more about it in 1031. So
Yeah.
you've done one, and do nothing about it, but managed to get through.
On that thread, I mean, when the more you're asking questions when you're calling database, your cold call, whatever, the questions will emerge. You'll see a recurring, that's the word I was looking for. You're gonna get a recurring theme with the group of people you're calling. Like I call my friends from high school, biggest recurring theme is prices are crazy, I just got a promotion at my job. And then you start seeing some themes where you're like, oh, hey, you would buy a house, you just wouldn't buy it here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, where would you buy if you could buy anywhere? Right, so, and that's a super simple one, right? I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
complicated, but then I call my mom's friends, and then the biggest thing, and I can kind of picture it, but let's say I wasn't aware of it, they would tell me, oh, Philip, I got a 2-story house, you see where this is going, I would like to maybe downsize, but how can I do that? Because taxes are crazy. If I sell and purchase, so then the answer would be Prop 19, right? Being able to exchange one for the other, carry your tax basis to the new house anywhere in California.
But here's a good trick on that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
the same situation, the example I gave was like, you could say to them, oh, Prop 19 is a good thing for you to explore, let me get you some information on that, or, I can't talk right now, but I'll get back with you, we'll talk again. And then you hurry up and you're like, what the hell's Prop 19?
Yeah.
If you know a crumb, that's okay, press them with the crumb, and then if they take the bite, then hurry up and learn.
Yeah, and if someone brings up that and Prop 19 is on the radar, say, hey, that's an awesome thing for me to work on. May I call you back like in 20 minutes or whatever, 2 hours, whatever it is. Throw out on WhatsApp. Hey, this is the scenario. You're gonna get like 5 of us just copy and pasting the same thing, but you'll know immediately, oh, I need to Google Prop 19 or I need to call Evie on Prop 19 and then connect off sidebar, get the 3, 4, 5 points, call them back for that appointment.
Sounds super smart.
Yeah, they're gonna say, dang, Jessica, you just saved me. Well, you sell a house for $1.2 million and you buy a house for $1.2 million or whatever, because they want to stay in the relative area, their tax goes from whatever, $3,000 a year to 14,000, 15,000. So you effectively save them $12,000 times at least 10 years. That's $120,000 of money you saved them. I didn't have to begin with, so there you go. Keep on that thread. Ahas, besides anything else on top of ahas when it comes to that, or keep it rolling. Preparing for the buyer's consultation. So getting the appointment real quickly is a series of items, and what they're not talking about here is that it could happen on the first call, it could happen on the 15th call, anywhere in between the 20th call. It could not even be a call, they could just be calling you direct on the your first contact. Like, hey, this person is ready to go, right? And you're gonna find that out through the question asking, preparing for the buyer's consultation. This is a basic checklist. So you set the appointment, you're gonna confirm the appointment date and time, confirm appointment location, ensure all decision makers attend, complete the buyer guide, prepare the meeting space, review the lead sheet. The first three, and even the fourth, are gonna be done over the phone, like complete the buyer guide, and we'll get into that here. But you wanna make sure you're confirming date and time, location, just an excuse to call, and ensure that, like, you know, with Orjo, or I'm using my friends as an example, but the decision makers weren't really him and his wife by themselves, it was also his mom, right? And it was odd, I only met with him and his mom at first, and then eventually, so I did everything the wrong way in that relationship. If I had met with the three of them first and foremost, I think we would have saved so much time. Like, we went to El Monte, we went like all across the valley, went to LA a bunch of times because there was so much discord. Even though we knew the answer would be the valley, right? But it was one of those things where, hey, you gotta get all the minds together. It'll save you a ton of gas, you know, gallons of gas.
I was gonna ask about the 80 questions you mentioned last time. If you were able to get that, find that.
Oh, yeah, I did.
PDF.
I texted it to Jessica, and she was like, oh, please text me.
Yeah, oh, I can text it to you.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, if you can copy and paste the send, yeah, no, it was like, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
You gotta harass me, I mean, you gotta like text me like, hey, Philip.
Like me, like, look,
What
can
are
I
the
sit on your
questions?
So it's just basic questions instead of role playing, which we should do anyway, but yeah, instead of role playing, we used to just ask questions on repeat. And the questions were, you know, I'm gonna have
Just
to,
put it in our group, yeah, for sure.
I'll pull it up right now, Jessica. I think I sent it to other folks too, here we go.
I got it right here.
So the questions are, yes, great, where do you plan on moving to? What takes you there? How soon do you have to be there? Since you plan on moving to blank, are you looking to upgrade or downsize? What kind of phone? Are you familiar with blank city, area that they plan to move to? How long have you lived at your address? How much do you currently owe? Is that one loan or two? Any equity lines? Do you have to buy in order to sell? Tell me a little about your home. Have you done any upgrades? Any additions to the home that may not have permits? What price will you not go below? We'd love to sit down and bring you options you may not have to sell in order to buy, or may save in costs in your next move. And that's what you really want, isn't it? If we could get the right price for your home and qualify you with my lender, would you be available to meet at 4 p.m. or would tomorrow at 2 p.m. be better? And this was set a time with an alternate choice question. Who else would be a decision maker in this matter? What's a good email to forward you my professional info to you? Did I call your cell? Because I can text you my professional info too. That's how you get a cell number if you're calling the home line. And if they say no, great. How long have you lived at this address? If you don't mind me asking, how much did you buy your home for? When do you plan on selling? Is there a time frame for you to sell or move? If you were to sell, where would you move to next? If you could sell your home and move to blank, what would it take for you to consider? Since you know the neighborhood, which neighbor do you want to get rid of? And there's a smiley face, you know, you gotta say that kind of tongue in cheek. Since you'll be there another blank, I'll be in the business too. So what do you plan on doing in blank? Can I count on you to call me when you know of anyone in the neighborhood that will be moving? Have you ever thought about investing in a duplex? Have you ever thought about building your real estate portfolio, possibly purchased an investment property? What has been holding you back? What's a good email to forward you my professional info? And it goes on, I mean, it goes right into like renting as well. So it's like a series of questions, and please share it with the group
It's just
on
one
there.
conversation, let's just say, like, at the same time.
No, I mean, they're just a series of questions that you can pull, because you're one question away from unlocking someone's mind,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Depending on what they're saying to begin with.
absolutely. And so like if they're, the biggest one I would always say is, have you ever thought of expanding your real estate portfolio? And that was always on my cold call. And then when I transitioned to like meeting my neighbors and calling my sphere, if they had no interest in real estate, I would just ask that question. Have you ever thought about expanding your real estate portfolio? Well, what does that mean? Or if they had a real estate portfolio, they're like, well, you know, I have like these houses, what do you think I should do? Like, well, didn't think about that, right? So it just opens up the conversation, kind of guides you in that in a new direction with them. But those are like the questions.
Nice, thank you so much.
Awesome.
I was gonna say you could copy that and put it on your
Oh, and notes, yeah, that's it, there you go, I should probably do that, makes it easier.
Otherwise, I might use it, Mike or something, and it's done.
I think
that's
I might
funny.
just actually email it and print it out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just said myself that, have you ever thought of expanding your real estate portfolio?
Yeah,
I
John,
didn't
that's
know
that
that
one.
one.
When you feel like stuck and there's like no real estate,
So these are good things to have on, well, I created a prospecting sheet and it's whenever somebody calls me out of the blue, I automatically grab the sheets and pen and I start.
Filling
They
in
tell me,
questions.
and they tell me, and then I say, okay, now I have some questions for you. And I ask them all the things that they haven't already told me. Every time I try to take one of those calls without that sheet, I forget important stuff to ask. But now I have it so ingrained in my head that even if I talking to someone in the car, I see the sheet in front of me.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah.
regardless, you still need to capture the information, and then that's where I take my specific notes on that client too, as I go on
And you
price.
create a file from there.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's
I mean, just to be able to have a go-to, and if you get a little bit of a backup situation, it's like, great, I can just have my staff, have it in.
like
Right, you
folder
can
and
Right.
give it to Josh and say, enter.
Yeah, in our case, we just scan front and back, send it over, and off it goes.
This is Evie.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really good idea, Cindy.
Yeah.
Like get those like folders, staple it onto the folder, because sometimes it's like,
Oh, we
I have 2 active buyers
Yeah, that's a good idea.
and they tell me like different things, and then it's like, okay, I have to like
You have to
text
like,
message or my notes, like go back, it's like,
Yeah, well,
oh,
especially when you're lucky
so
enough to have a
smart.
bunch happening at once, it's like you mix them up in your head a lot too.
yes, yeah,
yes.
that's very smart, having a folder.
And then they
like-
change things on you, like one was buying a home, she's like, no, I want a condo. I have the money, let's go. Okay, let's get you Paul.
And you're like, which one, who is that?
Well, no,
Oh, yeah.
it's like,
Good problem to have, for sure.
I know
what
already.
was the down payment again?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I wrote that down. I think we started with a buyer intake sheet and I got lazy, and that's not a good thing to do. Because then, you know, how are we training it? And you can't duplicate, oh, just remember it and make sure you text it. That's like not smart. You know?
It's kind of a goodish problem to have, my memory sucks.
So is mine. I mean,
So I have to write things down.
no, I'm with you. My mom reminded me of like, well, what about the other 4 people? Like, oh,
Yeah.
you're right. I didn't jump out of bold now.
And I have to schedule my follow-up calls, they're not gonna just happen, you know.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm gonna share with you
Hey
guys.
Philip,
Yeah, Monique,
what script was that you were reading from?
great question.
We can share it.
You share it?
Yeah, but she could just put her number in the chat.
Oh, yeah, Monique, if you can drop your phone number in the chat, somebody will
Okay.
text it right over to you.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that was so good. That's like how I want it to flow. Because I
Awesome.
forget sometimes the client's best interest and where you're gonna go next and what are you gonna do? And that's not in that fairy script, you know. It's like, well, it the way you said it and the way you read it, I felt like you were connecting a little bit better or it seemed more natural. I don't know. I would like that script.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was our old
Okay.
script and role play with just reading questions.
Right, right.
That was
Yeah.
one of the things I took away from a previous environment was that we didn't actually read scripts, we just read questions on how to have a conversation with people.
Have a
Listen,
conversation.
listen, and then boom, drop it in there. I know we have Heather too. Thank you guys, Heather.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, I
guys for
appreciate it.
sending it over to them. And then here are the 10 service areas of the buyer value proposition. So if you think about it, we're not just like opening doors, right? So
Yeah.
we're doing a needs analysis. And Joseph too, I'll text it over to you, Joseph, as well. I have Joseph's number. Neighborhood information, home search, make an offer, negotiating to buy, vendor coordination, pre-close preparation, closing, post-closing. Just so you guys know, if you want to sum up 1 through 10 in one word, use the word, okay. Let me see if I can,
Sorry.
does that make it any better or?
Yeah.
Okay.
731.
Use the word consultation.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that.
Fiduciary.
Like 1 by 7.
But consultation would be like the dialogue throughout. And then I'll text Joseph, I have Joseph's number on here.
Thank you, Philip.
You got it, Joseph, anytime. So if you were to sum up 1 through 10, 1 through 10 can be one word, fiduciary, right? Big F word, the other F word, right? Besides follow-up. Would be the needs analysis, the pre-qualifying, pre-approval, the neighborhood information, the home search. Now granted, as you grow and maybe you reinvest in growing a multi-tiered business, your virtual assistant could really help you with maybe neighborhood information, maybe the home search, right? You can make templates to make an offer, you've seen us do that. Vendor coordination, post-closing, that process could be probably offset to admin or operations support. Where we really make our money as agents would be the needs analysis. Our partner in crime, our loan officer partner, pre-qualification, pre-approval, negotiating to buy, and then making, well, closing, you can kind of hand off to a TC, but if you are gonna jump into the deal, remember our fiduciary key points would be the counter offer, explaining at least the minimal or your avid negotiating repairs and any changes to the contract with an addendum form, right? Those would be the key points there. So with a teammate, you can probably offset 1 or 2, 3 to teammates within your group, or you kind of just stick in hard with being a solo agent, which is totally cool as well, right? Let me just remove. You guys got
No, we can't see it.
oh, sorry, there you go.
I knew. Okay.
And then buyer guide contents. So I actually don't have one. I'm gonna take a picture of this and say, Josh, I need your help. You guys got the okay, cool. Let's do that. Let me flip you to 1. All right, cool. Hang on, guys. I'm gonna take a photo for my own records.
So is this like your buyer's presentation?
Yeah, this would be the buyer guide.
So they have a really good one that Michael Lewis for free that you just input your information.
Got you,
And also
Kenny.
Command.
Command has one?
Yeah, Command has listing presentation and buyer's guide.
Yeah.
Can you do next week's command party if you're hanging around on Friday?
And also, I'm not sure if it's still on there, but they have a 2020 buyer's guide where it's just you input your information and it's just like something that you would send out to the buyer. So they have basically a explanation on how the process is, gives them, you know, the sheet rundown and all that.
Where is that?
Dang.
Michael was,
Like that's something that looks like .com or?
yeah, Michael was.
To Monique, get connected with Brenda, because I actually didn't know we even had that, so I'm gonna jump on there myself, mlms.com.
And if anyone wants a great lender flyer to throw in their package.
There you go. And then contact Cindy for the follow-up information. And then what's Command? What's our website for Command? It's not KW Command. Is it kwcommand.com? Oh, okay. I just have it saved.
Yeah, so the Michael Lewis, you could either do it like the luxury one or the basic. And then it just
Oh,
gives
yeah,
you everything.
that's what I have.
And then here's like basically something you would fill out.
Oh, okay, that's.
Oh, that's really cool.
It gives you the steps.
Yeah, so I saw that online, but if I can create that, I can turn that into a presentation.
Yeah, it's a presentation and then you can add or
you
take
just
out.
send that sheet or
Oh,
something.
nice.
like-
Okay.
No, it's a whole presentation. That would be your buyer's consultation.
That's awesome. And
No,
before,
there it
yeah,
is. It's the word.
let me text
And I
Josh real quick. And Joseph. I'm gonna send this to Joseph. Bam, Joseph's gonna get like an epic text message. And then Josh, we're gonna be nerds. I'm telling you, we're gonna make millions of dollars from just this office and a little bit of square footage I'm working from. Cause it's like, dude, this is crazy cool.
You and that goes.
Yes, all of us, and those working from Zoom. So you guys got that, mlms.com. If you're already signed with the office, so that's Monique and Joseph. If you don't recall your username and password, contact Andrew or email Andrew and you'll shoot over the password. I think all of our passwords are the same until you change them. And then ditto for KW Command. Awesome, Monique, good stuff. But we'll glide over this because we're gonna go and do the Brenda. Thank you so much. Boom. Oh, and there it is. Buyers got in command. Holy crap, it's on here. All you need is in command. It's totally customizable. Love
Yep.
it.
That's cool.
And that's under templates or under, sorry, I'm gonna do this. It's cool. We'll mess around with it and we'll
Yeah.
find it for sure.
Command dash.
They have-
word, it says.
Yeah, and then they have several ones, so you could do your listing presentation on there when you go for a listing, or, just have it saved and
Got it.
before you go,
Oh, it looked like a little template.
Yeah, and then they have the table of contents, because one of my biggest weaknesses, I don't have to leave behind, right? I mean, great conversation, we got the goals and dreams down, and then we revisit it, reinforce it with our team support and the coaching, or I call it coaching calls, but it's like the one-on-one follow-up and feedback loop calls with them, right? But if there's something for those who really like something tangible in their hands, which I feel is like half the people out there. Another half, like my mom, just like, on it goes. But for others,
But for some reason, the mere act of handing them something is important.
True.
Even if they just take it and dump it.
I absolutely agree.
They come in handy at houses too, like, you look really professional if you have a table with all your stuff.
That's another good point.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of an open house? The point of the open house is to find sellers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like always, anything we're lead generating, we're always going after listings, right? Buyers will come naturally because of that focus on listings.
and for that, I do have, I work with Marco. He's from Stan,
Yes,
and he has something really good for open houses.
good to know.
It's like a full report just based on their community, so it's like, you get those nosy neighbors and they're like, well, did you hear? And it's like, yeah, it's on my report, I can only send it, via PDF to your email because it's my only copy.
I love that.
That's a good trick.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're gonna follow up long term anyway. By the way, what's the best way to text you as well, or whatever, text you via email. Email was actually more preferred, you'll get the interaction there.
I texted it.
Yeah. And then
It's just like, oh, wow.
wow, I'm going through this, you can tell I didn't read ahead of time, because I'm like, oh, where will we get that information? Well, here we go. And it's all there, neighborhood insights. Now this one, I didn't know you could make templates out of this too. I always thought it was just an email. So we can create stuff off of command hit.
And also on there, I'm not sure if you guys received the Altos reports, but what's good is if you don't have anything to post on
We just do
Michael
that.
Lewis, it gives you the Altos report and you just upload it to Facebook and it's like your
Oh
whole.
my gosh.
Oh,
You put in your
From the
zip
Michael
code.
Lewis website.
Yeah.
So do you guys still get the Altos report?
I have it.
You guys
Yeah.
still, okay, so that wasn't like a many thing, right? That's for everybody?
I guess, because it shows me like
I don't
different
know, I
areas
mean,
that I've
yeah.
selected.
Yeah, cause I no longer get it, but our VA Josh gets it, and then he just pulls it for Woodland Hills, Canova Park, Calabasas, and then he posts it on our Team Watt New
Yeah,
Facebook
so
page.
when you go to Michael Lewis, it's the real time data. And there's your post. It gives
Is
you
this
everything.
is this the guy or no? Michael Lewis? Is
It looks like.
Michael Lewis official website?
Oh, MLMS,
Oh, MLS.
yeah, MLMS.
Yeah, so you could get it there too, so our office has that. and-
So if you guys caught that online, when you go to MLMS.com, you can also find under Altos research,
Real time data.
real-time data, okay, on here.
And then that's what it looks like. You put in your zip code and you have access to it.
Dang. Alright, cool,
Oh,
cause then it looks cleaner, and it'll have like the MLMS branding on there.
Yeah, it's
Oh, it's the same one.
the same one. You just put whatever zip code you're looking at. You can subscribe to it if you don't get the email somewhere.
No, I don't, I think we were taken off, but Josh still gets them, so he just plugs them through there, but if it's already on MLMS, we'll just get him focused on that, he's already on there making flyers and doing different things,
Yeah.
that's gonna be awesome. Man, thank you for that.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about, like making millions, because think about this, if you control, remember a couple of sessions ago, we talked about messaging and your audience messaging frequency, all that stuff. Yeah, we got really good at just leveraging like what's right here in the 3 feet around us. It's like you can create things where it's a lead off, it covers you, carpet bomb, whatever you wanna call it. Then the one-on-one call, you kind of figure out like, hey, I see who's opening it, let me call who's opening it. And create a conversation there. Just while I'm flying through this, home loan simplified. That's crazy good. It's conducting the buyer consultation.
You have, if you don't have access, you have to create your account.
Is it 2 L's or 1 L?
1L, Michael Lewis Marketing
Yeah,
Suite,
well, yeah.
MLMS.
So 1 O?
And then real quickly, guys, as we close this up, I am knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for these clients. They'll appreciate my expertise and preparation, choose me to represent them as they buy a home. So this is actually an affirmation for us. And then we're gonna go right into welcoming the buyer. We're supposed to role play. The buyer needs analysis. Okay, so and this is a little, now look, I've called listing agents if I feel it's gonna be close and ask them, hey, will you take I never call a love letter, will you take a personal letter from our clients to your clients? No way, Philip, awesome, no big deal. Just a heads up, their nurses, blah, blah, blah.
I've heard you can put it in and addendum and then you have to read it.
Really? Yeah. Man, that's stretching it though, I don't know. Well, yeah, my clients, they're a mid-age couple at 35. I just renewed my license. It's like, I got all that section wrong. You know, I thought, oh, I thought you could do this stuff. And I apparently bombed that portion quiz. We do have a client, so when you're doing a listing presentation, something we've added in is making sure we ask, like, hey, do you want the personal letters attached? If so, here's the box you check. However, please make sure you read this, you know, the discrimination clause and all that stuff, because that's kind of what you're putting yourself in alignment with. No, Philip is treated like business. Okay, so we'll say no to the letters, all those things. Getting the signed buyer agreement, close to the agreement. That would be our BRE on the buyer side, right? And then wrapping up the buyer consultation, offer your KW app. And I need to talk to you, Brenda, about that because I need to reset mine in terms of that. And that is working with buyers. My sound went out. All good, Monique. We're here at the tail end. We're going to jump out early, so those who want to attend the broker caravan, by all means do so. But any ahas from today's presentation? I mean, I'll quickly start. I'm blown away that we have this on Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. One of the things about me, I know I'm really good at copy and paste. If I know something's already working, I'm not going to be the one to like redo it. I'm just going to take it and maybe add my own flavor to it, and that's it. And I just feel like, great, if it's already there, why reinvent stuff? If it doesn't apply to the situation, just cross it out.
Take out the page.
Yeah, and move on to the next.
And I like because even on command, it has, you know, meet the team, and then you can put your TC, yourself, and everybody that's involved in the transaction.
Yeah, boom, 8 pages, 9 pages of all of us.
You just send it to them, and then when you get there, you've already seen all that.
And that's a great like PDF lead off, right? Like when we're emailing them
What do you call
confirmation.
it, pre-package?
Yeah, pre-listing package.
Pre-listing
Yeah.
package, thank you.
Something I don't do this all either. So, and yeah, I guess we have a listing version of that too, right?
Yeah. Because I guess even on the buyers, you just take that sheet of paper and it's like, okay, you send it to them and then I print it out. So it's like when I meet with them, I just have them fill it out while I'm talking. We don't go page by page to make it shorter,
Yeah.
but it's just like, okay, so the who, what, when, where, why, and how are we gonna get there, you know? And that just gives you basically a summary of everything that you know, are you looking for house, condo, price range, area, everything.
And you know, to Cindy's point, I mean, having something to give, even if it's on Zoom and they have the PDF to access and read through it, they just feel like, yeah, cool, I'm working with the right people. Not to say that they haven't been working with the right person
No,
when
yeah.
they do it, but at the same time. Yeah. Yeah.
And feel free to add me on your team, anyone.
There you go. Real quickly, as we end here, thank you guys for being on with us. Who is